I'll tell you what, that little bit of production was fun today. Setting up,
Right,
not too
right,
much pressure.
right.
You ready for a countdown, pal?
Shoot.
Watch that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to The Jersey Alchemist. And I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
And I'm Philip D'Angelo. You know, John, since I brought up that your intros sound like your musical entrance, you've been a little baritone now. Now you're a little bland. I miss that,
You want me to take it up an
John
octave?
Gerard. Yeah, let's try
Yeah.
one more time. All right.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to The Jersey Alchemist. And I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci. Is that what you want?
No.
No.
You used to make the Gallucci roll off. Dr. John Gerard Gallucci. Like artwork. Try one more time.
Okay.
From the top.
Go ahead.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to another episode of The Jersey Alchemist. And I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
That's beautiful. And I'm Philip D'Angelo. What's up, pal? How you doing?
Pretty good. It's kind of a blustery, chilly day. A lot of wind last night. The trees were clacking back and forth.
Sunshine, wind.
Yeah. No, I know.
But it's a good day. It's a good day to be in Jersey. A good day to be, springtime.
Yeah.
Summer's around the corner. The motorcycle's ready. A lot of good things are going to happen. I'm looking forward to
All right.
warm weather. And leave winter way behind us. Enough
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for all that.
And I'm also ready for better TV viewing. I mean, I can't stand this. I mean, I'm watching this Johnny Depp trial. I feel bad for him in a way because everywhere you go, they're talking about Johnny Depp and what he had to go through in this relationship. Wow. It's a little disconcerting.
Well, it's interesting. Johnny Depp's one of those strange, what I would call him, fringe characters, but a lot of people love.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you what I think.
Really?
Yeah, about Johnny Depp.
What about him?
I think you are full of shit.
Who? Phil is full
Who's
of
he
shit.
talking to?
Me?
Why would you care about this ridiculous trial over Johnny Depp this and Johnny Depp that and Amber this and Amber that? Who cares? Who cares? They're a bunch of self-righteous, drugged-out multi-millionaires that are completely out of touch with the rest of the human race. And you say you care?
Well, that may be true. How he described them, but they are human beings. They are massive, especially Johnny Depp is a massive movie and film star. Donnie Brasco, Bones? Really?
You know what? You know what, Bones? Wow. I have a question for you. Do skeletons get hemorrhoids? Do you have a big, throbbing, painful hemorrhoid? Boy, that's how you came out of the gate today.
Wow.
Phew. And you want to come out of the corner. I don't know about
I
this.
don't think so. Wow, that was out of line.
Little bit crazy, Bones.
I want
Dr. Gallucci, I really think that you surprised me. You surprised me. You say you care. All the implications of a gold digger trying to destroy a man's career.
That's what it looks like.
Who is Johnny Depp? Who is he? Is he a Manchurian candidate?
Oh, come on.
Is he a victim of MK Ultra mind control from the Nazis in our government?
Ooh, you're going to get us
Is
taken
that
down.
who he is? And why now? What does the government need? A distraction? Yet another distraction for the people. The pandemic wasn't enough. The Russian invasion of the Ukraine isn't enough. Now we have to hear about Johnny effing Depp every single painful day.
So you do have. Knock it off.
off.
So painful day. You do have a hemorrhoid. You just admitted it.
Wow.
Well, you're a real jerk today, Bones. What the hell?
That's coming from Attitude Central. I mean, that's totally out of line. I mean, we're here to have a conversation. We're not here to disparage people, especially people that are going through a tough time.
Yeah. God, Bones.
Where's the alchemy with Bones?
Yeah. You say you're a celebrity chef. You look like a goddamn milkman. That's what you look like today. I'm going to call you the milkman.
Celebrity chef.
Can't we for once talk about something that's important to me?
Okay.
Demands. Always demands.
Right. Well, I always wanted to be a chef. Not just any chef.
Here he goes now.
I wanted to be a celebrity chef. Because, my God, today,
Well, then go be a celebrity chef.
but this career was stolen from me, and it's still near and dear to my heart. So let's talk today about chefs, celebrity chefs, and what they mean to society. What do you think?
What do you think, Phil?
I think he's out of control. Celebrity chefs, any chef in general, are self-absorbed, hardworking people, but they're artists. That's no artist. You know what I mean? That's no artist right there.
Watch out, Phil.
Yeah,
He's
I
got,
know.
he'll grab his cell phone and call.
Well, I don't think he's calling HR all the time.
I don't know.
I think he's talking the talk.
You think he's bluffing?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Every
I
episode.
don't know.
Here we go.
I'm happy for you that you're telling me that you know several celebrity chefs.
I do.
I think that you have an attitude today.
I do.
And I am not going to tolerate your attitude.
Wow.
It's been said that you're just a little bit edgy and controlling. Well, oh no, I'm not taking that today. Screw yourself.
Oh.
Pick your own topic and leave me out of it.
Okay. All right. Well, then maybe we will. Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, do your worst. Go on.
Don't force me to pick up the phone and call human resources again.
Again with that.
You know I've called HR on both of you before. I'll do it again. It's my right.
You really, you confused the crap out of me. Look, yeah, I got a friend of mine that's a colorectal surgeon. He specializes in hemorrhoids. You want me to give him a call? I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, he's creating too much tension, John. This work atmosphere. I mean, every
You're
time,
you're right, Phil. Phil's right. You're creating a hostile work environment. That's exactly what you're doing.
every time I come up these steps to the studio, I don't know what this guy's going to talk about. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. It's another phone call. They pull me into HR. They don't. I'm not happy right now.
Oh, that's it. Where's my cell phone? Where is it? No, don't make me do the cell phone slap. I cannot find my cell phone.
Oh, you'll get the cell phone slap.
Oh, Philip. Oh, Philip. Philip, be a good boy and fetch my cell phone.
Touching your cell phone?
Oh my God, that's pretty funny.
Out of line.
Wow.
I say Bones needs to spend a few days off set. That's what I think.
You really crashed the party here today, Bones. I mean, we're happy to have you, in different costumes every day. But man, you came out swinging. What's up, man?
Well, it's clear to me now, at this juncture, in our, relationship, if that's what you want to call it, it's clear to me that my leverage lies in my ability and my threshold to pick up the phone and call human resources on both of you.
No. That's ungrateful.
You know what, Bones?
That's ungrateful.
Let me tell you what my leverage is. I'm going to wheel your ass through that door over to the stairwell. We're on the 3rd floor. I'll kick your ass down the stairs.
Yeah.
That's my leverage. What the hell's wrong with you today?
I say we put him out in the parking lot for a couple nights. That's what I say.
Yeah, we'll let the birds shit on you. Maybe they'll make a nest inside your chest.
That's
You know
what
what?
I think.
I think maybe you know what? I'm going to call the colorectal surgeon, the hemorrhoid specialist on you. What's up? You know what?
Outrageous.
I don't want to hear another word from you for the rest of this particular episode.
That's outrageous.
Good lordy.
That's
wow.
uncalled for, John. I mean, it is
Uncalled
a hostile work environment. There's enough stress outside. We come in the studio to relieve stress. I mean, and to not be involved in this kind of thing.
Right?
I think he's jealous. He just wants to get back on the table again. So maybe
Well, that's a hell of a way of showing some love.
Well, he's trying to stick his chest out.
He came out swinging, didn't he?
Yeah, that's not right.
Well,
I mean, John, where's the alchemy in that situation? I mean, Bones. We're here to turn dark to light, right?
yeah,
Fear to love.
yeah.
It seems like with Bones, he's going in the opposite direction.
You're right.
He doesn't go in the right way. I mean, I don't think enough people, John, really know what the word alchemy brings to the table. If you had to describe
I don't think Bones is he's got me a little concerned here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You think a lawsuit's coming up?
I don't think so. You never know.
You never know.
If you don't see him, people, you'll know what happened to Bones.
Down the steps. On his little wheelie stand he goes.
Yeah. Speaking of Johnny Depp, though, I mean, it was kind of crazy, the coverage that trial got. I mean, I could think of a lot more important trials with what's going on in this country right now than Johnny Depp's defamation trial. A bunch of well-to-do millionaires going back and forth. I mean, really.
You know, the other thing that bothers me, I admit that I avoid watching all of that crap. But when you have seasoned actors and actresses on the stand, you don't know which end is up. And does anybody really think that they're going to say, put your right hand on the Bible, raise your hand, you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but truth, so help you God? I do. I don't believe a word they say.
No.
Not a single word do they say. They're not held to a higher standard by God. Maybe some of them would be, but not these fools. No way.
And there seems to be a lot of video and recording evidence. I mean, they're showing on the trial of when they were inebriated, like a little feel of no pain type of situation. I don't know what that was supposed to do.
I don't know. The whole thing just makes me think that the mainstream media, the intel services that dangle everyone and pull the strings, they're constantly glorifying being strung out, drug abuse, cocaine, alcoholism. Really? So now we got probably millions of teens and preteens watching this crap on TV. And I don't know. I think it serves to kind of normalize all this shit.
I mean, isn't like part of the hypocrisy of what's going on when you talk about drinking and smoking and drugs? I mean, we all say it's bad for you, just say no, etc. But yet, you drive around, there's billboard commercials promoting liquor, alcohol consumption. Marijuana is legal in a lot of places now. The lines outside of New Jersey dispensaries are massive.
Are dispensaries even open yet?
I think a couple of them were opened. Yeah, absolutely.
No kidding.
They showed some pictures on the news, and the line was blocks long. I mean, what's the society being? I mean, listen, I like to partake in an adult beverage every now and then. I've had my day in the sun, which probably doing too much of it. But listen, overall, we know that's going to lead to a dead end, especially you coming from the medical field.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what the alcohol and smoking and drugs do to a person.
Oh, for real. Yeah. And then, I think the most obvious segment or cohort of any population regarding alcohol consumption and smoking would be the people who used to sit at a bar for hours and hours on end drinking and smoking cigarettes. And as far as I know, smoking is illegal in restaurants, in
those days are
bars.
over. Yeah.
It's not that those people don't smoke anymore, but I think there's probably less smokers. I don't know. We'd have to try to check, the sales demographics on, cigarette sales. That'll tell us whether smoking is overall down or not. But heavy drinkers and smokers set themselves up for chronic inflammation in the head and neck area, and it's classic that they come up with head and neck cancers. And that's scary shit. That's scary shit, because if you've ever, I know you haven't, but, while I was training, we would jump in on an ear, nose, and throat surgical rotation, and we'd do these big, huge neck dissections and commando procedures, and half the jaw comes off and the tongue comes out. And I don't want to get anybody upset at home that maybe knows someone that's dealing with this. God bless them, but it's amazing how the powers that be have selected several items to be everywhere, ubiquitous. There's you can buy cigarettes anywhere. You can buy alcohol just about anywhere, right? And I'm not a pot smoker. It always made me sick. I guess that was just kind of a built-in fail-safe with me. But I kind of envy all of my friends and some relatives that are just all about, smoking a spliff or eating edibles or gummies or whatever. And I kind of wish that it was a feel good for me. It's not. It makes me sick. So, but it is weird that I do believe, and I've seen it with my own eyes through friends and relatives, that there's a certain component of cannabis or marijuana that is medicinal. And, someone's got metastatic cancer with tumors here and there, and they go to a dispensary, it's prescribed, and they're on this cannabis oil that they're preparing at home in their ovens, and the tumors shrink and the tumor markers go down. And then if they back off because it was kind of expensive, the tumors get bigger on scans and the tumor markers go up. That's what's been vilified for decades and decades. Kind of makes me scratch my head. And cigarettes and alcohol are everywhere.
Well, what about...
Thanks, Al Gore. Why do I say that? Because he made his family's worth, I don't even know how many millions and millions and millions of dollars, because they're tobacco people. That's what their business was.
Where does that say about society, though, John? After a hard day, I need a beer, I need a drink, I need a joint. I mean, there's got to be another place. I mean, we're here, we do a very spiritual podcast. I mean, why can't people turn to a prayer when they're going through a tough time or not a tough time? I mean, I know so many people that after work, they're stressed. They go right to the bar. That's it. I'm here to hang out.
Well, look, you know what? I'm no goody two-shoes. Who can blame them? There'll be a day when you see a martini glass in front of me at right here on this podcast. I haven't figured out whether we're going to do martinis or a bottle of wine or a couple of beers. I don't know. Other podcasters do it. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to promote it so that, a bunch of young people are starting off on the wrong road in life. That's not what we're all about here. But my God, life is so stressful, especially after the whole pandemic has fallen upon us and blanketed the earth. People are just at their wits' end.
Do you know anybody, John, personally or clinically, that's been involved with addiction to drugs?
I was going to hit the beep button. I'll hit it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have somebody very near and dear to me, was involved with addiction, is now sober for 5 years and 3 months. And when you deal with somebody in addiction, There is nothing worse than that. There's no talking to that person. Their mind, their soul, their spirit, it is with somebody else.
Right.
They're beholden to that drug,
Hmm.
and they will do whatever they can to get that drug.
Yeah.
And and as a friend, as a relative, as a parent, you don't know what to do because that's an enemy that you don't know anything about. So how are you supposed to help somebody? I think once people, if anybody knows of anybody with addiction, write a comment down below. Over 100,000 people have died due to drug use. Now with fentanyl coming in, it's really not a drug overdose, but over 100,000 people each year. It's the number one killer of people, I think, oh God, between like 18 and 35. It's drug usage, thanks to fentanyl, is the number one cause of death. It's actually made the life expectancy decline. We're losing so many people. It's
Listen,
horrible.
I believe it, and I don't really have a story, but I have a comment that I think the time interval that I'm referring to was 3.5 to 4 years. In my family, we lost 5 nieces and nephews to opioids.
Okay.
5.
Oh my God.
5. I mean, wow. And it makes me
It's a
think,
generation.
here we go again with big pharma, because there's good evidence to show that. Like, you might say some of these drugs are being bootlegged here and there, maybe, but by and large, they're coming out the back door, and they're being made and manufactured in these big, huge factories that are owned and operated by big pharma. Are the Chinese making the fentanyl? Bathtub fentanyl, so to speak? I don't know.
The word is yes.
But the opioids, the pill form opioids, these are not, as far as I know, these are not. This is not a product that's being made out of somebody's garage. There's a certain allotted amount that big pharma makes, and they know they're going to certain pharmacies, and those certain pharmacies are then off-letting them out the back door to certain people who are then distributing them, and they have made hundreds and hundreds, probably billions of dollars. And I'm not saying anything that the mainstream media hasn't said, but God bless the Sackler family, because they're heavily, heavily, heavily involved with I think they're the ones that came up with OxyContin. If I'm wrong, put it in the comments. But you know what? These people need to pay for the hole that they've dug for society. They just do. And they're not the only ones. They're not the only ones.
John, back in the 70s when we were in school, you always knew who you could tell, back then, if you were into the marijuana or the drug stage. In reality, you had long hair, right? You dressed a certain way. You could just tell that probably that person is experimenting with some sort of drug, right or wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they
For the
had
most
they
part.
had that dissident air about them.
Yeah, there was something there, but nowadays, that's gone. It's the jocks, it's the academics, it's everybody, all looks, all shapes, all sizes, all denominations, both sexes. I mean, it's everybody, and you just can't tell.
How many sexes?
I don't know. What are we up to now? LGBTQ
14?
plus,
I don't know.
All 14
But all
sexes.
all of them, all of the above.
I mean, how many athletes, how many stories? I personally know somebody who I'd love to get on the podcast one day. This person is from Jersey, football player, a big boy. I mean, a pig, son of a gun. Of course, with a heart of gold. Went to a private high school, excelled in football, was a lineman, was all state, okay? Got a big scholarship to go to a big college and play football. And like a million other athletes out there, was chasing his dream, was pursuing his dream.
Right.
doing what he had to do to get that dream. Nothing was going to stand in his way, except one thing stood in his way. He unfortunately suffered an injury,
Okay.
and that's when he started with
Would he
the
blow out a
opioids.
knee or something? Or?
Yeah, a knee, and that's where the painkillers came into play.
Right.
So here was a guy with a full ride. It was probably a great shot to be in the NFL. Okay, he was that big and that talented, and you know that is rare to have those qualities.
Well, relatively rare, yeah.
Absolutely. And before you know it, he was living in his car on campus.
Ay, ay, ay.
Lost everything. Lost his scholarship. Got kicked out of school. Had to come back home. Suffered through a miserable year or two of existence until he finally turned his life around. I mean, and he's now helping kids, lecturing people, you know, the do's and don'ts. He speaks to high schools, large groups, and the athletes naturally gravitate to him because
Sure they do. Yeah.
he's been in their shoes before. And
Wow.
there's always stories. When you see him, it's unfortunately somebody's parent who's on the news because they just lost a son or a daughter.
Right.
And they're saying, well, my daughter or son was a 4-year varsity player, was an All-American this, an All-American that.
Right.
But that injury comes, and like you said about Big Pharma, they start on those opioids and those painkillers, and it's off to the races. They lose all self-control.
It's off to the
It's
races.
horrible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I would agree. And I can say, you know, as from a physician standpoint, that there has been a crackdown on individual physicians that were far too quick with a prescription for opioids. And no names named, but I have a story. Somebody that was trying to ensnare me a long time ago to be their associate. And I don't know how to get around this. The guy was a devious, lying sack of shit. And I smelled it from 10 miles away. He lied through the entire negotiation process. He lied to my attorneys. His attorney lied to my attorney, the entire ball of wax. And as a matter of fact, we were right in the middle of a negotiation meeting to kind of have the three forces join. And I got so flabbergasted with the audacity and the lying and the manipulation that I said to my attorney, right in the middle of a legal ease conversation amongst three attorneys and three would-be associates, I said, "Hey, did you eat lunch?" She looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Close your goddamn briefcase. Let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here."
Good
Oops.
for you.
Too late on the beep. That had to go. And we got up and we walked out. Well, this douchebag, a year later, ended up out of state under the guise of retiring. And I think within 6 months of him being relocated for his, quote, retirement, I got a phone call from a friend that said, "Did you hear about so-and-so?" "No, I don't want to hear about so-and-so." Like, what a horrible experience. "Well, he's in prison." "Oh, now I do want to hear about so-and-so. What happened?" Well, apparently, this J.O. immediately got into an opioid prescription drug ring. Immediately did this and he was writing, tons and tons and tons of prescriptions for, most of them were young people. And some young soul passed away, with the bottle in his hand with this guy's name and prescription and DEA number. And I thought, wow, I saw that coming. I saw that coming because all this guy wanted to do was screw his way through his life And the only thing that meant anything to him was for him to just stuff as much money into his pockets as he could. Wow. Remind me at the end of this episode when we're doing our little spiritual turnaround, Alchemy. Got to remember him, not by name, but if anybody needs prayers, it's that jerk.
Wow. I mean, I know somebody who works for the DEA, and their job is just to, it's not to go on the street corners, and it's not to go into urban cities or the mountains of some hillbilly town. It's to, research doctors and,
Oh, sure.
and find out what doctors, and unfortunately, there are no disparaging on your occupation, John. I mean, but there's some, like you just said, some doctors with
Oh, yeah.
no conscience whatsoever.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. And well, but the main hypocritical point here is, and it's just so typical of the legal system, the justice system, the big fat cats that are behind the scene, that are pulling everybody's string, yanking everybody's string. Nobody knows who they are. They're always slipping and sliding. They're in the they're even behind the shadows. They're not even in the same world with the shadows. And who gets slammed? The little jerk. The little jerk that thinks, oh, I can retire if I make $1 million around the back. Which is the wrong way of thinking. You want to make $1 million around the back door, do it, but do it, in a fashion that's legal. That's not going to kill somebody, for God's sakes. So I just looked to that day. I said on a previous podcast that I hope and pray, and I was very serious about that along with my blessings and my alchemy prayers, I do pray that certain agencies, so to speak, certain disciplines in this world that need to crash and burn, I hope and I pray by name that they come crashing down completely, and that there's nothing left of them other than smoldering rubble, because they have been enslaving and screwing humanity for decades and decades and decades and decades. I just feel that way, and the whole big pharma medical profession. One of these days I'm going to let loose with an episode dedicated just to healthcare and big pharma. As a matter of fact, maybe we should just have one episode for each of those.
I look forward to that. I remember I suffered a back injury. I don't know if you remember, a long time ago, early 90s. And I was immobilized, for 6 months. And I had
How'd you do that?
Weightlifting.
Well, okay.
Squats, heavy squats,
All right.
500 pounds. I was, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, Percocets. I was on Percocets.
That's my job to lose my train of thought.
Yeah, it's contagious. And I had no trouble getting Percocets. And I was on them steady. There was an endless supply for 6 months. Round the clock Percocets. To try and recoup and get functioning like a normal human being again. I don't know what I would have done without them. And it took me a while to get off them. As I went back to work, I was taking 1 or 2 just to get through the day. But I did wean myself off. But it is no joke. You don't care if the house is burning down. Once you're in that haze, you're like, whatever.
Well, you know what? I can tell you, I have, probably because of the fact that I've lost 5 nieces and nephews in 3.5, 4 years to opioids. I've never prescribed Percocet, and I've never taken a Percocet. Now, look, I'm a pediatric surgeon. I operate on preemies, babies, and children. But that includes, some pretty big adult-sized teenagers, Sure. I operated on kids that were 200, 300 plus pounds all the time, too often. That's another topic for another day. Childhood obesity, or just obesity in general. That's a good topic.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
United States has to be number 1 in obesity.
I think so. I think we're an experiment. I do. I really, really honestly do. We just segued into obesity. Want to talk a little bit about it?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, you go to these these countries, there's not a lot of. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I've never seen the amount of heavy-set children as I do in the United States of America. You know, I was in a town hall not too long ago, and of course, I like to look at the pictures. You know, in the town hall, like the town was founded in 1900,
Sure.
and of
Yeah.
course, everybody was from another country. You know, you're reading the names, you see groups of kids in school, and you see the parents working, and there was not one overweight person from the 1900, 1902, 18
Right.
in any of those pictures.
Right.
Now you can't
Yeah.
take a picture without saying,
Yeah.
you know, wow, look what's going on here. I
Right.
mean, I shouldn't talk because, you know, I'm big boned, as they say.
Big bone.
But you know, but I'll tell you what, the level of children out there that are heavy set, John, is a major problem.
Was that a cut on you, Bones? I don't know.
Small bones? I mean, how many kids? What was the percentage of children that you dealt with?
What, that were technically obese?
Yeah.
Oh my! You know something? I couldn't begin to give you those numbers. You know why? It's like asking me, how many gallons of water are in a tsunami?
Interesting. That's
It was just all the time, you know. And you can almost tell by the age. If it was a 10-year-old male in the ER with appendicitis, the kid was going to be morbidly obese. Don't ask me how or why that correlates with anything. It was the truth. And for the mamas and dadas out there, if you think obesity is a joke in your kids, it's not a joke. It's not going to get any better unless you jump on it right now. And it makes everything difficult if, God forbid, they need surgery. I'm an expert at operating on big, huge, heavy, morbidly obese kids. And there's far, far, far too many of them. That's it. It's not, we're not ranking on that cohort of the population. It's just one of those sore spots with me. Because here's a story I've got for you. This is a true story. You'll never hear a story from me that didn't actually happen exactly the way it occurred. I get a consult in the office on a 9-year-old girl. 9 years old, 220 pounds. I'm 220 pounds. I'm 5'10" and I'm in my 60s, but a 9-year-old girl, 220 pounds. And of course, why was she coming to see me? Well, because she had several attacks of cholecystitis, you know, inflammation of the gallbladder and the biliary tree, because she had gallstones. Dad was very tall. Dad looked to be at least 6'4", and he was somewhere tipping the scales at about 450 pounds. The mother was not tall, and the mother was tipping the scales easily over 300 pounds. And maybe she was 5 foot, 300 pounds. Okay. So is it any wonder that the 9-year-old daughter was 220 pounds? And where was she going from there? Up, 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 up. She wasn't going to get slimmer. If anybody was going to say, oh, you know, it's her baby fat and she'll slim out. Oh, no, not in that household. She is not going to slim out. So, okay, workup ensues, everything, all of the checkpoints, whatnot, you know, she needs her gallbladder out. So we set her up for the surgery, and here's the day of the surgery. Day of the surgery, I go into the holding area and give the whole talk, the whole spiel about informed consent and all of its aspects. I've done it 14,000 times. And father and mother were like, yeah, okay, all right, fine. Here comes the anesthesiologist. And the anesthesiologist comes right out of the cage and says, your daughter is at an increased risk for pulmonary complications. The mother and father went bazonkers. What? Why would you say such a thing? You're scaring us. You know, explain yourself. And the anesthesiologist said, just looked at the father, looked at the mother, and looked at the daughter, and she says, your child is obese. That's what gives her the elevated pulmonary risk. They got so upset, they wrote her up to the administration, and then I had to go up and talk to the administration. I had to write an email on her behalf because, God bless her, she did everything right. And I can't tell you how many pediatricians out there, and guess what? I'm not in the game anymore, so I can say this. You have these morbidly obese kids, and you don't do a blessed thing about it because you don't want to get into a scuff with the parents. You don't. So, case in point, that night after the surgery, her gallbladder came out just fine. She did great. But that night, because I don't operate on kids and enter a major body cavity like the abdomen or the chest and send them home the same day. That's bullshit. The insurance companies can go screw themselves. Ha! Yeah, Bones is right. I'm a bit edgy. So she stayed overnight. If everything was good the next day, we'd let them go home, with all of the instructions. So, as it turns out, I got consulted late that night, and it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I'm walking down, the hallway on the pediatric ward, and it's kind of dark, and, a couple of people talking. You can see the glow of televisions coming from certain rooms. And I did the consult, and as I was walking onto the ward, that's the story. It wasn't on the way out. I heard something sliding on the floor behind me. This is not a joke. Now, I had a conversation with the parents about fast food, about eating all of the wrong things, because everybody was morbidly obese, the entire family. And they swore to me that they never eat fast food. We don't understand. We're victims. Okay. I understand how you can be a victim. I get it. The tables are turned and tilted against you. I get it. But the sliding sound that I heard on the floor, I turned around and looked, and there was this kid's father dragging a sack of McDonald's that was so heavy that the plastic was going to rip, so he was sliding it on the floor. It looked like a sack of laundry. That's how big it was. And it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I thought, I'll be a monkey's uncle. We don't eat fast food, which translates to, yay, the gallbladder's out. Now we can pig out on fast food. Are you kidding? I had to tell that story. That story stuck in my craw, and it's got to be 15 years ago. Wow. So the childhood obesity thing is not being addressed. It's not being addressed by the families. It's, by and large, not being addressed by the pediatricians. It's not. And it needs to be, because it's only going to get worse. If you're morbidly obese and you're 9 and you're 220 pounds and you're a girl, where do you think it's going? Where do you think it's going? When you graduate high school, you're going to be 320 pounds.
Wow.
That ain't good.
True stories are amazing. And people are amazing how they raise their kids. I mean, especially if you come from a position where you're heavy, you'd think you'd want better for your kid. Isn't that what being a parent's all about? Not only, education-wise, financially, but physically. You want to take care of those kids. I have a cousin, and his kids are 8 and 5, and let me tell you, God bless him and his wife. Fruits, vegetables, since they were this big.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are happy. They love fruit. That's their candy, their go-to. That is nature's candy, right? A fruit, some piece of fruit.
Well, yeah, nature's candy, sure.
Sure,
Yeah.
right? It's sweet. I mean,
Yeah.
the body was meant to digest it, and those kids are healthy. They're growing tall. They're in the 90th percentile, etc., and they're happy and healthy.
Right.
But only because their parents made the effort to go there. And let's face it, sugar is a drug.
Oh my God, yeah.
I struggle with sugar. I mean, come on. My father had a sweet tooth. I probably got it from him, like you wouldn't believe.
Did he really?
Oh, yeah. Only he was 150 pounds.
Yeah.
I tend to be a little heavier than that. But, yeah, and sugar's a drug. If your body craves sugar, the more you give it, the more it wants.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm all on board with that. You know what I think I want to do? I'm going to contact a friend of mine that is a family/child psychologist. I'm going to ask him to come on the podcast, and we're going to talk about the psychological aspects of childhood obesity. That's what we got to do. I'm going to make that phone call later today.
Our next production meeting.
Yeah.
After
yeah.
HR.
After HR, that's right.
I mean, why would parents project something like that on their kids? I don't understand it,
I don't know.
And fat food. I mean, look at I know breads
What's
for
that word?
fast food. I meant to say.
Oh.
It just kind of slipped out.
Yeah, we gotta use that if you say the F word.
I know bread in general is meant once you heat bread, the sugar enzymes that it's baked with rise to the top. So when you bite into a hot dog or a hamburger, if it's warm, if that bread's warm, you're going to taste sugar. And they want you to taste sugar, and they want to suck you in to have another one.
Right.
It's worked on me.
Right. So it's all about manipulation.
Yes,
Right.
but where's the parental guidelines? I blame the parents, absolutely. I mean, where's the parental guidelines? I think we're giving kids foods or money, just here, go to the store, go get what you want to get out of my hair type of thing. Maybe that's
Right.
it. Nobody
Maybe.
has time.
Right.
Listen, nobody's cooking home cooked meals like we had back in the day.
Right.
I mean, fast food is a way of life now. Look at the supermarkets. You go to the supermarket, there's always a section of prepared foods, meals that you
Yeah.
can take home.
True.
Because everybody's too busy,
Right.
in this run and gun society that we live in.
It's one of those topics that really, I admit, it really disturbs me. Childhood obesity, it disturbs the crap out of me. Why? Because when everybody else felt like it was okay to kick the can down the road, when they came in and needed surgery, whether it was elective surgery or emergency surgery, I would say operating on a morbidly obese kid is generally a nightmare. And for the pediatric surgeons out there that might be watching this, if you deny it, seriously, leave a comment. Oh, I see no problem. Oh, no. A kid that's 5'2" and 48 pounds, that's no problem. And a kid that's 5'2" and 348 pounds, what's the problem? What's the problem? Really? Let me know. Let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. Come on the podcast.
John, not only the physical problems that could ensue, how about the emotional and problems that can ensue if you're a large child in a group? I mean, you're going to face some ridicule, some
Right.
bullying, some teasing. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Listen, when we used to shop at a store that nobody knows about unless you're my age, Robert Hall.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Remember
Now,
where it was?
in
Bloomfield
Belleville.
Ave?
Well, mine was in Belleville.
Okay.
And I remember we used to go shopping with my brother and sister, my mother and father and I. So my sister and brother would go first because they're like this, okay? And 1, 2, 3. And the salesman would lean into my mother and go, "What about him?" And mom would
What
lean
about
into
him?
him,
What
and
about
I
that
could
one?
hear her. She would say, "He's husky." And I'd have to go in the husky section. They had a special husky section, and the husky section is where I bought my clothes.
Really?
Yeah. Scarred 50 years later, still telling the same story. Robert Hall and the husky
Do you remember the
section.
jingle?
No.
I bet you do.
No.
I do. It's
What
stuck in my head.
What
It's school bells ringing, children singing, back to Robert Hall again. Remember that?
How do you remember that?
It's stuck in my head.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Another old franchise that went by the wayside. Right?
Yeah,
Two Guys. Remember Two Guys?
sure.
Great Eastern. That was another one.
Great Eastern. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Great
right.
Eastern.
Talk about-
Tops. Remember
And
Tops?
Tops, and they were big deals.
Yeah.
They were big deals. They were big stores.
They were out on Route 46 and whatnot.
17
And,
and all that stuff.
yeah, right.
And then it kind of went back to mom and pop stores for a while, right? And
Yeah.
then mom and pop stores, and then what brought the big stores back? Home Depot, Walmart, the
Yeah.
Walton family that owns Walmart.
Yeah, I have a big problem with.
That's hard to believe.
I don't know the definition of what that term that they throw around on Shark Tank when Mr. Wonderful says Well, you know, if you've been to the big box stores, I guess the big box stores are the big department stores, right? Well, department stores have always been around. You know, Macy's, Bamberger's, Orbach's,
Yeah.
right? Because let's face it, where else are you going to go for
That has
the
everything.
items that right, exactly, wallets, belts, men's jewelry, women's jewelry, pocketbooks, shoes, socks, underwear, sweaters, all of that crap. That's what a department store is for. Go upstairs, and then there's the kitchenware, and then there's bedding and mattresses. They've kind of got it all. But I have a real problem with the fact that the American dream has been stolen by the globalists. Now, we've heard George Carlin use that famous line about the American dream. How does it go? The American dream. If you believe the American dream, the only way to believe in the American dream is that you have to be asleep to believe it, right? Um, think about this, right? When you were a kid, when we were kids, right? One of the best memories I have was going down to the local hardware store in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. And at the time, it was Neal Brothers Hardware Store right on Route 23. And my father knew if he ever thought about going without me, boy, I would throw a fit, start crying. He wouldn't do that. He'd say, "Hey, Johnny, come on, we're going to go down to Neal Brothers." If he asked my brother'd say, "Yeah, all right, okay, fine, yeah." All right. Ask me, boom, I'm there. Let's go into Neal Brothers. They had everything at Neal Brothers. I loved that place. I used to get lost in the nuts and the bolts and the lawnmowers and saw blades and wood saws and hammers and chisels. And it was all of the things that I, as a young boy, I loved. My father on the side was a woodworker, and so I emulated him. So I loved the mom and pop hardware store. I loved the mom and pop bakeries,
Oh, the delis.
the bakeries. And you know what? I think maybe we were in our early 20s, late teens, early 20s, so that's going to have to be early 80s, late 70s we were in. And what happened? Oh, there's a big store out on the highway. Oh, they've got everything. Oh, what's it called? Home Depot. The lighting stores got knocked out. The hardware stores got knocked out. But if you bought a light fixture for your new home or for your old home, it lasted about 3 or 4 years before it started to rust because they're generally pieces of shit compared to what a real lighting store would sell. So the mom and pop stores on mainstream America have been killed by globalist corporations. And so has the manufacturing of processed foods. Now, I used to think of a processed item of food like salami. You know, that's processed food.
Sure.
And nobody ever really made, nobody ever ate everyday salami with a piece of a little knife cutting off the salami like this. Once in a while, we had it for a treat, whatever, but the production of our food is now in the hands, it's been in the hands of what I would say nefarious people for decades. And I don't know a lot more about it right now, but I'm going to learn about it and we're going to talk about it on a up-and-coming episode. Have you heard about all of these food factories that have explosions and they're up in flames and they're burning down?
Yes.
Now now
Food producers.
there's two different stories here. Some people are saying, well, this is the deep state attacking these places specifically to cause food shortages because the government, including the jerk-off big guy, is saying it's going to be food shortages. Food shortages. I said it, right? Or there's the other flip side of that is saying the food manufacturing companies and warehouses that have been manufacturing poisons and carcinogens into the food for decades to hurt the people. They're being destroyed on purpose by the white hats, the good guys. I have no idea what the truth is, but something's going on, that's for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I know for a fact what you said is true. The mom and pop stores, it's an attack on the middle class, really. But then there's also, on the other side of the coin, John, is, all right, you go to a Home Depot, look how many people the Home Depot employ. You know, and look how many, you go to Restaurant Depot, look how many people work in Restaurant Depot. A Costco, I mean, a BJ's. I mean, so there's people who throw that argument at you, you know. I have a small hardware store in my town, which I love. I go in there.
So do I.
And let me tell you, the guy knows you, you know him. What do you need? In and out in 5 minutes.
Right.
Home Depot, if one of, I shouldn't say this, well, if you see one employer looking at you.
Oh, they run.
You know, it's so bad.
I was going to say it. You said it for me. You know, you see somebody down on the other end of the aisle and they've got that orange apron on, and you're like, you start quick stepping and they sense it. They sense it, and boom, they're gone. They're gone. As a matter of fact, I had to buy a washer and dryer for my mom's house, going back probably around, I don't know, July last year. So I said, I'm not going to fool around. I'm going right to Home Depot. Going to have them deliver it. Pop, 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 pop. So I'm back there doing the finger drum roll on the top of the dryers, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, making a drum sound on purpose, you know, opening the door, slamming the door, like, hello.
Still here.
I'm still here. There goes an employee. There goes another employee.
Not
you
my
know,
department.
right? So finally, I whipped out my cell phone. After 20 minutes of waiting and having nobody show up, I whipped out my cell phone. Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to Home Depot. Press 1 for blah, blah, blah. Boop. Hello, yeah, hi. I'm just curious. You guys sell washers and dryers? We do. Okay. Well, who the fuck is in your washer and dryer center? Because I've been standing here now for a half an hour. I said, how about getting somebody over here so I can make a purchase and get the hell out? Silence on the other. I says, no, I'm not kidding. I'm calling you and I'm leaning on one of your dryers right now. How about it? Guess what? Took another 20 minutes. It did. But they had me by the you-know-whats, because now where am I going to go? Am I going to go to Sears? Sears is gone.
Sears is gone too, yeah. I've got a similar story. I won't go into the details. I was at Lowe's and for a dishwasher, okay? And they installed it. After one wash, it didn't work anymore. All right? So I'm like, how is this possible? So I went back to the store and to raise holy hell. And the guy goes, oh, yeah, we just have to replace it. Let me see if I can find one. I said, oh, this guy's a nice guy. He went in the back. And I'm waiting. Like you said, 5, 10. I'm like, where the hell is this guy? So I went to the customer service desk. I said, hey, I'm looking for Ken. He goes, Ken? Yeah. It turns out he was in the break room. I went in the break room and I said, hey, pal, what are you doing? I mean, let's go. Right. I made him put down his sandwich and go and come help me out. He took a break.
Right. That's
not in your local store. Not in your local store.
Right. Not in the local store because you knew the people.
100%.
Right. No, I know. I have 2 quick stories. Both one is infuriating. It's an eye roll, and the other one just hysterical. When I was a resident training at a big trauma center in New Jersey, the police had called the nursing station. It was one of the surgical trauma floors. It happened to have been 8 South, right? And the police called and wanted to talk to the nursing supervisor. She's like, well, yeah, okay, officer, like, what's the nature of the call? Well, there's a Mrs. So-and-so. She says she's in room 836. She called the police because she can't get anybody to answer the nursing button.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Could you imagine?
That is really funny.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it happened several times, too.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
the other story, which is an eye roll, I spent almost 3 years living in the Caribbean. And on the island of Grenada, and I can't imagine Grenada is much different than any of the other island nations. People were very nice, right? But there was a department store called Huggins. And Grenada had been a commonwealth of Great Britain. And in the years that I was there on Grenada, which was 1985, I think they had their independence for 12 years, something like that. Anyway, I walked up to this counter, and it had 2x4 and chicken wire and a counter. I mean, really like, old time shit. That's what Grenada was, right? And there was a guy sitting on a chair tending to the counter customers. And behind him were an array of light bulbs. And he says, "Can I help you?" I says, "Yeah." I says, "I need one of those 60-watt bulbs." And he looked and he said, "Do you have an adapter?" And I said, "Yeah, I have the adapter. I just need like 2 or 3 of those bulbs." He says, "Okay." He says, "Come back in a half an hour." And I looked at the clock, and the clock had just said 12 o'clock. And I said, "Come back in a half an hour." I took a reggae bus from the campus all the way down here. I got to come back in a half an hour for you to hand me 3 of those light bulbs, and I'll give you the money. You can keep the change. He says, "It's my break time." And he was sitting like this, and there was an open shelf, and they were right behind him. I actually thought he did it on purpose.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know.
Strong union.
The strong union, that's right. But that's a true story.
That's
Yeah.
a great story.
That's an eye roll. What are you going to do? You're in somebody else's country. You're going to start a fight? I don't think so. Right.
John, as only you can, let's bring it around full circle here.
Yeah, let's do this. We kind of went around the world in 80 days here, lots of different topics. So let's kind of encompass all of the friction points that we've come up with today. And I hope that we made you smile at least once or twice. I hope that we achieved the 3 E's that Mel Gibson talks about: entertain, elevate, and educate. You can decide on which one of those E's we're best at and which ones we're
1 out of
maybe
3.
not so good at. But between the mainstream media distracting us with the bullshit of the day, the Johnny Depp trial, honestly, who cares? Okay. But, okay, we forgive them, Lord, for shoving in our face something that clearly is designed to distract us from something else that might be happening right under our nose or behind our back. So we forgive them, O Lord, for distracting and misleading the public through the mainstream media. Yes. What else did we talk about, Phil?
Obesity.
Obesity in the society and childhood obesity. And I made a statement, I think the United States is an experiment. I'm not sure that you can experiment in Europe because there's so many different countries and they're all within a couple of 100 miles. But we are kind of landlocked by Canada and Mexico and the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans. And so we're this population that's kind of laid out there like a big chemistry set. So why is mass obesity so terrible in the United States, and childhood obesity is out of control? Well, however this is coming about, whether it's intentional food additives or whether it's lack of exercise, and it's the cell phones and the laptops and the desktop computers, or whether it's computer gaming, on the big flat screen TVs, for however it's destroying people's health, well, we're going to have to think about that, alchemize that, pray and meditate about that, and forgive. Forgive however that's occurring, whether it's the fault of the parents or the pediatricians or the food manufacturers. It's got to stop, people. It's got to stop. What else did we talk about?
Addiction. We touched on addiction.
Addiction, and you know, it's a give and take, right? So the big pharma continues to manufacture these horrible opioids that are killing hundreds of thousands of people. Well, they're doing that because it works, right? It works in that they're making billions of dollars around the back, out the back door. So the big cats need to be arrested.
Amen.
They need to be publicly dragged through the mud. They do. And because that's the only way they're going to say, oh, mea culpa, because they're never going to do it if they're not tagged and arrested and hauled off to jail. So thinking about all of those things. Dear Lord, please bestow some sensibility. Please bestow some humanity across the world. We need to rise up as a people, not just in the United States, but everywhere. God, help us overcome the pitfalls and the darkness that is ever present in societies all across the planet. Amen.
Amen. Well said, John, as usual.
All right.
Thank you for a great podcast. That
All
was
right, brother.
amazing.
Thanks.
If you like what we're doing, please press the like button and subscribe. The Jersey Alchemist. Peace.
See you next time, brothers.